Today I'm going to show you how to install the mower deck on my Super LT 1554 Cub Cadet lawn tractor. This applies to any 1500 series lawn tractor or any 1000 to 1500 series lawn tractor. The only thing different is my deck is a little bit wider than the other tractors, but the same procedure should apply. I'm going to show you some tips to get this particular deck onto this tractor, but it should be easier on the other tractors. Now, I do mostly automotive work, but I like to do maintenance on my own equipment. So if you like to see general automotive work, check out my other videos and please subscribe. Before I show you the mower deck installation, I'm going to show you some maintenance on the mower deck. I'm going to install it. The 54-inch mower deck that came with my Super LT 1554 mower has 3 of the spindle bearings, one on each end and then one in the middle, all requiring grease, and 3 blades underneath that correspond with each of these that require sharpening each year. Has a pivot point here with a spring, so that requires a little bit of oil. And then each of the wheels are plastic, but they all have a little plastic fitting on the end of them. If you can see that there, this one's pretty dirty with gunk. That'll accept the tip of a grease gun, so you can grease these each year. And then of course the pins up here need to be cleaned, a little bit of grease. These pulleys, all these idler pulleys, these 2 idler pulleys are sealed, so they don't require anything. Just a few pumps of grease, spin them a little bit, probably accept a little more. Hard to see grease coming out the bottom, but you can see it coming out of the top here. Just make sure you wipe off your grease fittings before you stick your grease gun on them. To take off the blades, I just prop the mower deck up on a couple of blocks and then lean it against something. That way it doesn't roll out on the rollers when it's up on the blocks, and it'll stay supported. That's how I store it in the winter time. I just prop it up like this. To take the blades off, the easiest thing is to use an impact wrench, and it's either a 28mm or an 1.1/8" socket to get that off. And the easiest thing is to use an impact and gloves. You have to make sure you take the blades off. You can use either an angle grinder or the bench grinder, but you want to make sure that you balance them before you put them back on. When you sharpen them, try to take the same amount of material off of each end and then balance them. Just use a screwdriver. I swear I just balanced this one inside the shop. You can see it's a little heavier on my left hand side. Try one more time. You take off just a little bit more on the left hand side. Yep. Okay, so that's a little better. Still a little bit of anti-seize on the threads. Put the blade back on, same way it came off. Get in the back and just hold the pulley so that I know if the pulley's spinning. It's like once it cinches up and gets tight, I won't have to worry about it. Just and then you can torque that by hand if you'd like. Like I said, I usually take the mower deck off each year to store it, and then before I put it on in the spring, I'll lube all the bearings and sharpen the blades. Today I'm going to install the mower deck on my SLT 1554 lawn tractor. Now this will apply to any 1500 series, but I'm going to give you some special tips to the 1554 and the 1500 series, but this will probably apply to any 10 through 1500 series lawn tractor that's a Cub Cadet. They have a very similar deck. This lawn tractor though has a 54-inch deck, which makes it a little more difficult to put on. I believe this tractor is designed for a 48-inch wide deck, and my deck, this 54-inch wide deck, is also deeper this way to accommodate that 54 inches. So the distance between the front tire and the rear tire is the same as other lawn tractors. They didn't spread it out any, so it makes it a little more difficult to put it on. And I had a comment on one of my other videos from Larry, and he said it's extremely difficult to put this on. I agree. There's some tricks to putting it on, because it's a pain in the butt to get it between the tires. We'll see what Larry says after I make this video, if he has any other comments. To get started, I've positioned the mower deck near the lawn tractor. I'm also gonna turn the steering wheel to the left. What that does is it moves my front wheel out further, and I'll show you that. You can see the distance here is increased slightly when I turn the wheel all the way to the left. The problem with this method is it also takes the left side wheel and brings it closer to the rear wheel on the other side, so you have to manipulate the steering as we go. Okay, the next thing I do is I make sure I position my two pins, one on either side, so that they're out. Notice I've pulled them out and pulled them out of the hole so they stay all the way out, so they're out of this slot. This is the slot where the lawn tractor levers go for the elevating mechanism for the deck height, out of this slot right here. So I make sure, third thing, I make sure that my belt is on properly, Here's the diagram. My tractor's over 15 years old, and the sticker for the diagram is still on the lawn tractor. But rule is B belt inside goes on, flat belt or flat pulley, the back side of the belt goes on. Reach in and make sure that this belt is on that pulley. Make sure it's fully engaged on that pulley. Pull it tight here. This is where the drive pulley is. Position it up here. If it comes off, you have to put it back on underneath the tractor, which is a pain. It's easiest to do it now. I moved around to the left side of the tractor to show you this. This is what I do every year, because sometimes I use the tractor for spreading fertilizer without the deck on. But I used to snow plow with my tractor. I don't do that anymore, but I use a little bungee and put this bar, the bracket that holds the front of the mower deck, I put that up. Otherwise it drops down and it can get on the ground, and when you back up, kind of digs into the ground a little bit. I don't think it hurts it, but I want it up and out of the way. So that's helpful when you're putting the mower deck on, is to get it up and out of the way before you start. Alright, once I have that belt positioned the way I like, then I just simply manhandle it and slide the deck underneath the tractor. I always thought this would be easier just to slide it on a piece of plywood, but I've never developed a piece of plywood to do it. Now you have to be careful here in the back. So in the back, it's going to hit the rear wheel with these, so you have to slide it past the rear wheel. You want to make sure your belt doesn't come off. You got to position it through here, so you can see why I moved the front wheel out to get that bracket past right there. And I'm going to keep sliding it under until I can get to the other side and pull on it. So now I'm hitting the wheel on the other side. So I have to move around to the other side. So my front lawn tractor deck wheel hit the front tire on the lawn tractor. So I'm going to fix the steering, grab the mower deck and pull it through. This is where Larry's gonna laugh at me. This is the point where I'm stuck. See, my rear idler wheel is here and there, and I really want to turn my wheel back to the front, but on the other side I'm not past the front tire over there, so I still have to pull on it and make it come through. And that's the trick, is to position your front tires so that you can pull it through. Now, I don't have it quite all the way positioned yet. I got to move it more to the left side just a little bit. So what I'm looking for is to make sure that front bracket is lined up with the bracket, and then position these rear brackets where those levers can come down and hit it. So I've gotten cocked on this side, so I want to recenter it. And when I do that, it brings my front in right there, and you can see on that front lever right there, there's a welded on washer. It needs to go down into this bracket here. So a washer on each side goes on the outside of the bracket there. And here's the belt. I'm close enough now that I can put the belt on. So I might have to manipulate the deck to get the belt on, but it's easiest to put it on before you put these brackets down in, or the rear brackets. So you can see here's my bracket here. I've got my tractor set with the lever all the way up still. I'm going to reach under and slip on the belt on that pulley. And if I have to, I can move my mower deck a little bit right now because it's not attached yet. Slide it forward, reach up under, put it around the pulley. Now I can slide it back just a little bit. That helps put a little tension on the belt. And I'm going to check the belt, make sure it's still on. I can pull it back a little more. It's on all the pulleys, so that's good. I did a good job putting it on. And now I'll take my bungee off, let my bracket come down, and you can see here that my mower deck is just about perfectly lined up. See how it's sitting, the washer's on the inside of the bracket. That's what I want, and hopefully it's that way on the other side. So I'm going to slide my mower deck back, at least on this side. See how it's going inside that bracket, and then I'm going to go to the other side. Check it over here. See, I didn't quite make it here, so I gotta push it back. Oh, there we go. So there, it made it. It fell into the bracket. Let me check the other side. It's not quite, it fell into the bracket, still in the bracket, but it's not all the way back. So I'm going to slide my mower deck back a little bit more, pull on it. I have to set the other side. So what I want to do is position the mower deck all the way back. At this point, I'm ready to put my lever down. So I've got the right side bracket down, and I can release this pin to let it go into the hole. So when I finally get it aligned, it'll pop in. Back to the other side. See if I'm still there. Yep, brackets down, pins in. So I'm gonna pull, make sure I'm in the front. I'm gonna pull back and up. So as I pull back and up, holding that lever, bring it up until that pin goes in the hole, it pops in there. You can see it just popped in there. So this side is in, it's still in the front, and the belt's on. And this side hasn't popped in yet. It's a two-handed operation. I need to hold this lever down. It's almost there, but you either need to put the deck on a block and pull that down, or I need to use two hands and lift up on the mower deck and hold down on this lever until my pin pops in. See, it popped in, and then I want to make sure it's turned so those little notches in the pin, little flat spots on the pin go in the notches on the bracket, so the pin goes all the way in. I'm going to go back and check the other side. And make sure my pin is done the same. It hasn't. See how the notches are still out? So what I need to do is turn it. So there, it popped back into the bracket. And now I got to turn the pin to make sure that it's all the way in. It did. It went all the way in. So it's all the way attached. So it's ready to go. That's it. concludes the video. If you found it useful, let me know in the comments, and if you did, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up.